Welcome to this week's Rob's Country. We're going to be talking about law, nutrition and cropping, and also what you have to do now to be up with the play if you're doing anything promotional. But first up, Kerry, IRD did okay out of the budget.
Yeah, well, recently we've been talking about how IRD have been chasing delinquent taxpayers, and Budget 14 gives them more money, and bad news for those delinquent taxpayers. Basically,
it's a huge incentive not to try them on, isn't
exactly, yeah. They're getting another 132 million over the next 5 years. 48 of that is going to go towards chasing up unfiled returns and those sort of things. But there's a bit of curious accounting going on. IRD are going to get $84 million for writing off $84 million worth of tax debt.
What was it? I mean, was it a lot bigger than that they could write
Well, that's
off?
just what they're going to write over the next 5 years. There's a lot more out there, so I'm not quite sure what that funding is really going to achieve by covering the debt they're writing off. But they're certainly going to get that extra money anyway. We're
looking really at people who haven't done a return who should have because they haven't got round to it or whatever?
Yeah, it's a combination of those that haven't got round to it or just they really don't know what to do. They've gone into business, they know they've got to do something but just haven't followed up. And they've just totally ignored it and waiting for someone to come and tap them on the shoulder, which IRD are going to do now.
Your advice to them, I guess, is chartered accountant.
Yeah, first protocol, if you're really unsure what to do, talk to IRD. Obviously they can give you a bit of guidance, and the next step is a chartered accountant, and that's crucial.
If you're sitting there and you think to yourself you probably can't afford a chartered accountant for whatever reason, can you sort of just throw a whole lot of stuff at IRD and say, can you please help me out here and fix
Not
it?
anymore, no, they don't want to know. If you're a really simple sort of salary wage earner, maybe a bit of interest or whatever, they'll help. But otherwise they'll try and bat you off to a professional somewhere. If you think you can't afford a chartered accountant, that's not really a stumbling block. Chartered accountants can finance fees through a special fee scheme that's out there, so you can spread it out over 12 months to make it easier budget-wise.
You just contact your chartered accountant?
Yep, just
and
talk
say,
to your
look,
chartered.
I really can't afford a $3,000 or whatever it might be.
Yeah, just talk to them and say, look, yeah, your bill, what's it going to be, and can I just finance it? And they'll organise all the paperwork for you, and you just set the payment up, and away you go. It's easy.
It is easy. I didn't realise you could do that.
Yes, no, definitely, yeah.
So, what other changes as far as IRD are concerned?
Well, they've just released a draft statement in the last month or so. They're calling it a draft, but now talking to IRD, it's a done deal. They're going to be changing the rules around tax payments. The thing is, it's the farmers that are going to be hit the worst, especially with the changes to the postal system, because they're going to basically force everyone online eventually.
I was going to say what postal system, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, at the moment you've got the choice of you can either send your return on the day that it's due, and as long as it's postmarked that day, it's received by IRD, has been paid on that day. From the 1st of October under this draft statement, that's gone. They've got to have it on or before that due date. So you can't post it on the 28th of the month for GST. Because if you do and it gets there on the 29th, you're late, and they're going to hit you with late filing penalties.
Because I had a funny thing happen to me. I thought 28th of the month for April, poof, off I went with my payment. And then I looked at my form and it said I didn't have to pay until the 7th of May because of Easter, I suppose.
No, the one for the 31st of March, they always give us a little bit longer.
Oh, do they?
It's just
well, I thought it was Easter.
Yeah, no, it's in the legislation, that one's always the 7th of May. They've just given us a bit of extra leeway to get it done.
It was very charitable of them.
Oh, it's fantastic. It gives people a bit extra time to get the money organised, basically.
So basically, it's going to be mainly payments that the new rules are?
Well, any return. So payments and returns. So if you've got a refund, you've still got to make sure, like for example, a GST return is at IRD on or before that date. So, yep. But if it's not, and it gets there a day late, 2 days late, they can still hit you with a $50 penalty, even though you're due a refund because you filed it late.
$50?
Yeah, for a GST, or $250 for a PAYE return.
These things are really important, though. They're not important, actually, they're vital.
Yeah, crucial, yes. Yep. So it means that there's going to be a lot more organisation by farmers. They can't leave it to that last week. They're going to be thinking a week before the due date, I've got to get my returns done in the mail, especially if they're using rural delivery or something like that, because they can't rely on it to get there on time if they do it, 1 or 2 days before.
What else?
They're also going to tackle the Westpac side of things. You won't be able to take your forms in there to file them or pay by cheque. The only way you'll be able to pay at Westpac will be cash or EFTPOS. They don't want cheques anymore.
Because they bounce?
That, and they're just too much hassle. They've got 70% of their people at the moment paying online, and they basically want the rest of the country that aren't to catch up. So if you're not into internet banking, it's time to start thinking about it. Yeah, basically.
Once again, though, the banks are very helpful. I mean, I'm with SBS and they bend over backwards to help me because I'm not very computer.
Oh yeah, no, they've set up in their internet banking very simple to do. For most banks, it's a case of logging in, put your IRD number, what the tax is and the amount to pay, and you're done.
How do you get a refund, though?
You file your return through the IRD online portal. There's an online service system that you can go into, and you need to register for that because that's the next step in the process. I'm expecting that they're going to say we don't want paper returns, we want you to do it all online.
Okay, so we're getting very electronic.
Yes, yep. So if you're not up with a computer, it's time to get out there and get a bit of training because I'd say in the next 18 months, 2 years, you're going to be forced to use one. How
easy would it be for people to hack into it?
The IRD one is very, very hard. I understand the security is super tight. I don't know whether there's any attempts been done on it, but I'm confident they've got that one well locked down. Well, I hope so anyway.
Yeah, because it'd be an interesting one. If I could put in their refund $500,000, but I think they might notice that.
Yes, yeah, no, they do their checks, so they know that certain times of the year you'll get refunds or whatever, and if it's out of character, you'll get a tap on the shoulder and a question asked.
Yep, which leads me to the point very briefly that they do have systems set up so that if suddenly there's a change, like you suddenly get a big refund for GST, they'll go, hello.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. They've got sort of percentages and things they monitor. They know what happens with seasonal trading, those sort of things. And if it's expected you should be making a payment and you've got a big refund, it's going to stand out and it'll end up on someone's desk. So you can't sort of let things sneak through.
No, fair enough. Gary, thank you very much indeed. Take-home message, I guess, is don't mess with IRD because they know all the answers before you've even worked out the questions. We've got more for you on Ros Country straight after the break.
Come dine with Country Catering at the Kaipoi Golf Club Cafe. Enjoy our range of delicious $10 lunches, daily specials and other homemade goodies. Open to the public 7 days inside the Kaipoi Golf Club, north end of William Street, Kaipoi. We look forward to seeing you soon. Kaikoura, located just 2 hours out of Christchurch. Kaikoura's amazing natural environment is what makes it one of New Zealand's must-see destinations. And the Kaikoura community has recognised the value of their environment as they enter their 10th year of environmental certification in order to protect it. Environmental certification is a commitment by all residents and businesses to act sustainably through having a zero waste commitment, biodiversity, water use and protecting the ocean resources through a coastline strategy. To find out more, visit kaikoura.co.nz.
Mainland Minerals have been giving farmers the edge since the 1950s. Sophisticated and very accurate soil tests and a vast knowledge of what the soil needs means those using Mainland Minerals get their costs extremely low while getting the very best results from their fertiliser. Fertiliser application is a science. Get it wrong and you pay. Get it right and it'll pay you dividends. Mainland Minerals, proven over 60 years and one of the best kept secrets in farming. Contact the award-winning guys and turn your property around.
Come on down to Ferrymead Golf. Care for a game of paintball? How about some swings on the old driving range? Or on our par 3 9-hole golf course? Test your skills on the mini golf course or have a go at the airgun shooting range. Then relax at the Wow Cafe with one of our super succulent Wow Burgers. Whether you want to perfect your swing or are looking for a fun family day out, come down to Ferrymead Golf, 50 Ferrymead Park Drive, right next to the Ferrymead Heritage Park.
Ready to go, mate? Flight leaves at 4:30.
Relax, mate. We'll park at Airpark Canterbury.
Airpark Canterbury, privately owned and operated with a free 24/7 shuttle service. Call 0800 Airpark or book online at airparkcanterbury.co.nz.
We all know the best thing you can do for your body is eat fresh foods in their natural state. The same applies to your skincare. Southern Skin provides a skincare range with fresh, locally sourced ingredients, plus natural preservatives and emulsifiers to produce the best nourishment for your skin to unleash your healthiest complexion. New Zealand olive and aloe skincare for young or old, men, women and children. There is a product in the Southern Skin range for you. southernskin.co.nz.
With so many car fans in the region, Canterbury Christian Funeral Service have been asked very often if they had an enthusiast hearse. So they bought one. The Ford Galaxy is a custom-built hearse for those who want their last journey to be a memorable one. Complete with racing motor and exhausts, the vehicle certainly stands out, and if you want to go out in something that's very different or you want your loved one to have their last journey very special, contact the team at Canterbury Christian Funeral Services.
Welcome back to Rob's Country. Powers of attorney, Brent, very, very important.
Yeah, hugely important. I mean, last time I was here, Rob, we were about to celebrate our 125th anniversary as a firm late last year, and you don't get to be that old without having quite a significant senior client base, as my firm does. So I thought if we briefly touch on sort of the trifecta of estate planning tools for senior clients. The will first. I happened to give an impromptu little talk the other day to a group of 12 people. The first question I asked was, how many of you haven't got a will? And half of the hands went up, which is pretty appalling, really. So obviously a will's an important estate planning tool for anyone, and everyone should have one, which was the first point I tried to impress upon.
And it doesn't matter what age you are.
It doesn't matter what age you are. In fact, one of the people that approached me after that talk was only in her late 20s, but already had a child and some assets and no will to deal with those assets. For seniors, I guess, power of attorney, the point that you raised right at the outset, if seniors lose, well, anyone, not just seniors, but if anyone loses mental capacity without having an enduring power of attorney in place, there's a lot of cost involved. It's a very costly process involving going through the family court, which is a division of the district court, and that can cost several thousands of dollars to have someone appointed in the capacity as property manager and also welfare guardian.
Our Pacific family there's two. My brother does finance and I do health and well-being, and mother's just passed away a few weeks ago, and I had no idea how much of use that power of attorney was going to be used as far as I was concerned.
Oh, look, they're incredibly valuable documents, and if you're lucky, I guess, that Mum had them of her own choice, so she chose to do them and got good advice. If you don't have them, as I say, it costs a lot of money, takes a lot of time, and then 3 years later you've got to go and renew the orders again. So if someone lives quite a long time in care, it can cost tens of thousands of dollars.
And there's a lot of decisions that I had to make that she was unable to make, even with the health and welfare.
Yeah, of course, well, they come in two forms, so which one of you was the personal welfare?
Me.
Okay, you, so you'd know that, but that one only kicks in when someone is deemed not to have capacity to deal with issues themselves. And then there's the property one, which can either be an enduring one only, so that it comes into effect if someone loses capacity, or it can also act as a general power of attorney, so the nominated attorney can deal with the assets of the person while they've still got capacity, in consultation with them.
There is so much involved, isn't there, when somebody passes away?
Oh, look, it is. It's not only is it a traumatic time, but there's a lot involved, yeah. I mean, for starters, you end up sometimes with multiple wills, as you may have experienced, and that happens. You know,
we've got one with you dated 1956.
1956, it's quite a good effort, isn't it? That's not uncommon, actually, because not all the time do people, when they do a will with the different law firms, send an authority uplifting the old one, so sometimes there's more than one hand going up when somebody passes away.
I mean, obviously, we're not going to worry about reading that one because it's been superseded, and it was done last year. So, I mean, but once again, our family knew both parents have been updating them very regularly, and just because their situation was changed because they sold a property and moved into a village.
Yeah, wills need to be updated quite regularly, really, because circumstances change. You know, new children come along, people die, your executors, you know, you want to change your executors, new grandchild. There's all sorts of reasons why people change their wills quite frequently. Yeah, it's such an important document, and as you say, when somebody passes away, there's a process that's quite involved.
And nothing can be changed once that is the last one.
Yeah, I mean, New Zealand now has its very own Wills Act after operating for a century and a half or so on the 1837 English Wills Act. And so there's a little more scope now. If someone takes instructions, hasn't yet got around to signing that will, you can try and present that to the court as the intention of, well, we had a case like this where a lady made some instructions but didn't get around to signing the completed alteration to her will. We weren't able to convince the court that it was a document, but there was a negotiation process where some of the wishes of the deceased were met.
Since that amazing situation where a farmer left everything to two sheepdogs, it has tightened up a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one.
Yeah, no, apparently you did, and the family protested.
No wonder.
You know.
Well, of course, under the family proceedings, the protection legislation, you know, there is the right for anyone who a deceased has a common law duty to lodge a claim. And so as a trustee, I'm not sure who the trustees of Mum's estate are, but the reality is in the first 6 months after the issue of probate, if a trustee pays out the proceeds of the estate and then there's a successful claim, they're personally liable. So I get to be a trustee of quite a few estates, and as you can imagine, not too many of them get paid out before 6 months have gone by.
Exactly. So how do you pick trustees?
Most people will choose each other if they're a husband and wife situation or de facto situation, and then an alternate or alternates, sometimes a lawyer, but it doesn't have to be, family members, friends. Should be someone whose business acumen and judgment you trust.
Yep. And obviously somebody who's not 20 years older than you if you're going to be...
Generally speaking, that's not a good idea, yeah.
Continuity though, I mean, if you go to somebody like Harmon's,
yep,
you've got that continuity, because if I do it with you, for example, and you resign or move on or whatever, there's somebody to fill your seat.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things about a firm like ours that's in its 126th year. I mean, you know, started by one of the Harmons and then joined by his son and his 3 sons, and you know, so as you say, there's always some torch bearers, people carrying on the work.
And it's never too soon.
No, it's yeah. So the message, I guess, is if you haven't got a will or you need to update it, get to it.
Indeed, because you never know what's going to happen next.
You certainly don't want to die without one.
No, exactly. Thank you very much indeed. The South Island Farmer of the Year was Peter Yeelans, and I'd like to show you his promotional video or DVD, because this now is the benchmark if you're wanting to promote your business.
Hi, I'm Peter Yeelans, a local lad from Marlborough. I started work in my father's grocery store when I left school. I moved on shearing sheep, fencing, doing a bit of local government civil engineering works. Then I went mussel farming and deer farming. All of these led me to a day back in the early 90s when I came out here to Seaview looking for hay for my deer. I'd lived in Marlborough all my life. I'm a 3rd generation lad, and I never even knew Seaview existed. But I fell in love with it on the spot as soon as I came over the brow, and since that day I can honestly say I've never looked back.
It's really, really special. I never knew how special it was when I first came here, but it's proven to be really significant in producing exceptional quality wines. So what we've got here is a real mixed bag of terroir. We've got very loessy soils full of minerality that oozes in the wines, sodium and magnesium, potassium. It really, really makes it distinctive. And that's because this piece of land has all been upthrusted over time. It's right in the middle of a fault line. And you know, we're surrounded by some really special features. We've got the Aratri River just on the northern side of us that provides us with water. Behind us as a backdrop, we've got Mount Tapiwainuku, and we've got Cape Campbell, the northernmost peninsula of the South Island, right out here.
We use RTK GPS technology to get the vineyard rows nice and straight. Now this unique terroir is really proving itself. We have an ideal grape growing climate of hot days and cool nights under crystal clear skies, and it really works. I've always believed that you should put more in than you take out. Our state-of-the-art Carbon Zero winery is the most sustainable in the world, and my goal is to keep it that way by continually measuring and offsetting our greenhouse gas emissions. Having our tanks in a fully insulated building contributes to us being 4 times more efficient than the industry average. We use dried grape prunings as a renewable fuel source, eliminating nearly 200 tonnes of greenhouse gases every year. We make our own compost. We make it from grape marc from the winery, waste bark from the sawmills, mussels and seaweed. We put in a bit of lime, lots of love, and also a bit of sweat. We're experimenting with different animals to help keep the grass down. That saves on diesel when you don't have to mow it. It also cuts down on chemical spraying. We're developing a breeding program for baby doll sheep so we can use them all over the vineyard. We recycle byproducts and choose recycled packaging material wherever possible. It's all designed for our team to work efficiently and effectively, crafting beautiful award-winning wines. We use the very latest technology to streamline every step of the process. so that we can put the very best quality wine into each and every bottle we sell. It's all about positive energy and harmony, values. It's more than a vineyard, it's a way of life and a home. We know that we're in partnership with nature. It's a conversation, and we're always listening very carefully.
I believe the wetlands are very integral to a good viticulture farming operation, no matter what you do. Here I've developed 25 plus little wetlands, and essentially, you know, they have multiple purposes. They're good to look at, they're good for the bird life, they're good for water retention, water control. You can't really be without them on a vineyard of this scale. I love having birds around, and I developed a love of birds when I was farming deer down in the Marlborough Sounds. And here we're trying to really bring in birds that aren't normally here. So I've planted hundreds of thousands of flaxes and native shrubs, all trying to encourage tuis and bellbirds back into here.
Good afternoon, welcome to Yealands.
It's not just the place, it's the people. Tamara, our winemaker, and Gareth, our viticulturist, are an exceptionally experienced and skilled pair at the heart of the Yealands team.
And it's been a big surprise for me because I sort of thought perhaps all the vineyard being in the same relative area, I was expecting there to be quite a similar style coming from the Seaview vineyard, being quite herbal, quite mineral, cooler climate. We're a lot cooler here than the Wairau area or some of the other sub-regions within Marlborough. But there's such a range of flavours. It's really been exciting.
Although it's one of the, if it's not the coolest, it's probably the second coolest growing area of Marlborough. But I think that definitely works into our favour quite a lot. We get that extended growing time, you know, more time for the flavours to come in.
Yes.
And I think that gives us a little bit of an advantage.
Definitely. Longer, cooler growing season, you know, fantastic for flavour development. Flavours that, you know, Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc is really known for.
But we always knew we had something special here. The vineyard's just taken a few years to develop, and now it's getting some maturity, and I guess we are as a team as well, and looking after the place and seeing what it can produce. The winery being central to the vineyard is just amazing. Tamara's right there to get out and come out with me. We spend a considerable amount of time together out in the block. Every day we're out, you know, for at least an hour or two, if not more. And that is something that most places probably don't have. And I think we're very, very lucky to have it, but it's also a key ingredient in what's making this place so successful.
We have such a unique site here, and the flavours are something that really develop in the vineyard, you know, the terroir here. It happens naturally. So to just carry that through into the wines, nurture it, is really respectful of the place, I think. We were recognised in the biggest wine show in the world out of London. And to win the best Sauvignon Blanc in the world was a huge accolade and a testament to the place. You know, to have Seaview recognised in that show, in such a prestigious show, was huge for us. In fact, we're standing right here in the block that won that award. We made a wine that represented just one little parcel, so we called it a single block wine. And I chose this block because it had such amazing elegance to it. It was Sauvignon, but yet it was very restrained. Lovely texture and just this real purity of flavour, beautiful, beautiful minerality. So to have that recognition was huge for us here and huge for the team. But the fact that everything is so different, it's really inspiring to sort of see, because I never thought that we could have parcels side by side within the same vineyard that could be different. And the blending process is heaps of fun, because we have, you know, sometimes when we go to blend our Sauvignon, we have up to 120 parcels of Sauvignon, which are now 120 tanks in the winery that we then go and look to blend. So we should have that beautiful, quite intense nose there, black currant and almost a bit tropical, a little bit of lychee.
It's got a good nose. Making good wine starts with good country, good land. That'll grow good grapes. If you've got good grapes, then the winemakers can do the final tuning and make it into a terrific wine, and that all happens here.
The wine industry is just great. Everywhere you look, there's something new and exciting to work on. There's a lifetime of opportunities right here. I feel very, very lucky, and I'm really proud of what we have achieved.
We've got a terrific product here at Seaview in Marlborough. We've got a world-class team, winery, We know how to make good Sauvignon Blanc. We've proved it. We're doing it in a sustainable fashion. We have got an enormous future going forward.
So my philosophy in a nutshell is think boldly, tread lightly, and never say it can't be done.
Now you can see why he won the South Island Farmer of the Year. Dennis, slugs, they probably need snorkels, but they're probably enjoying the weather.
Yes, Rob, they are. They're slimy little devils, and they love the moisture, of course, and there's a heap of that. And they've had a great moist season to grow and to full size, and lots of them. And now that farmers are trying to plant autumn crops and get them established, grass seed, clovers, things like that, they're just being wiped out as they come up through the ground. And indeed, I know one farmer who spent $24,000 on slug baits.
24,000.
24,000 on slug baits this year. So
takes a bit of margin off, doesn't it?
It does.
And how do you get it on? Because everything's so wet.
Well, four-wheel drive motorbikes and little spinners out the back.
Yeah, they're light enough.
They're light enough and to cover the ground, and so that's absolutely essential. And another thing is lime. They don't like lime. If you've got an opportunity to get lime on, if you can get it on, they hate it.
Do they?
And they hate sandy soil, so you don't really get slugs in gritty, sandy type soils. And I suppose powdered lime or something like that lends towards that type of thing, but they love clay and slippery stuff.
Well, that's, yeah, obviously. What are feed grain prices and situation doing?
Well, extremely in extreme short supply. There's been a huge amount of grain moved already this year, and in fact, right at this point in time, compared to last year, the stocks of feed wheat and feed barley are about half of what they were last year. So that's an indication that it's not going to go the distance, and there is a possibility of imports, but those the big feed operators, some of them have imported Australian grain already, and they can do that because they can denature it. And denature it means that they have to change it either by heat and pelletizing and things like that, and that will, if there's any weed seeds in there, that will render those weed seeds sterile, or they have to grind it to a very, very fine particle size to make sure that those weed seeds are killed and denaturing. So I think I'm correct in this, that Australian grain could not come in here and go whole to New Zealand growers. So it has to be denatured. So maybe we are going to run out of grain at some stage, and palm kernel can only go so far, but I know there's also a desperate shortage of straws, grass seed straws, barley straws, those sorts of things. So I'm not too sure what the poor old dairy farmers are going to do post-calving, because if we don't have a favourable season, we have a very tough winter from now on, things are going to be pretty tough.
It's going to be a real dry summer by all accounts.
Yep.
How much grain is still standing?
Not a lot. Most of it's been that's any good or worth recovering has been harvested. A lot of it's got visual sprouts over an inch long. It doesn't weigh anything. Costs a lot of money to dry, and actually on that point of drying, there's quite a few farmers who've got high moisture grain sitting in their silos. It will be starting to ferment. It will be starting to grow mycotoxins in it, and some farmers believe that if you dry that grain, you do remove the mycotoxins. That is not correct. The mycotoxins are a byproduct of the fungi growing that remain in the grain even if you do dry it. So if some of that grain was fed to the likes of weaner pigs, it would kill them. Sows, it wouldn't kill them, but they wouldn't grow on it, and stock generally don't do any good on it. So the first thing you do is when you're buying grain, you sniff it. Just like an animal would.
I was going to say, please continue that sentence, will you?
Yes, it's important. It is. An old grain trader taught me that. It's the first thing you do.
So what are you looking for when you smell it?
Well, you're looking for rancid smells and Well, you shouldn't sniff too much fungi up or
No, otherwise
bacteria
your
up.
lungs will be collapsing.
Do like they teach at school, just wave, you know, for the fumes. But that's a very important thing, is the smell of grain and obviously the sight of the grain.
Yeah, but
And
it
if
doesn't
it's
smell right,
greyish,
you don't do
if
it.
it's greyish or it's got a sort of purple tinge about it, that could be fusarium, which is also a non-desirable fungal growth. So, yep, the old seed merchants know what good grain looks like and what it doesn't look like.
What about veggie seeds?
Veggie seeds, the struggle at the end of the season has been horrendous in things like carrot seed, radish seed, some kale seeds, late maturing kales, things like that. A lot of the crops are flat on the ground. The carrots were windrowed, of course. The radish not quite so bad, standing off the ground until it was flattened by the sou'wester. And I recently heard of a maize crop that was virtually flattened by the sou'wester. So everything was on the tilt, and that didn't feed very well into the choppers as well.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes. So it's been an extremely trying autumn.
And I guess the problem is trying to get stuff in.
Yes, starting the cycle again, and as most farmers believe, every paddock they sow is going to be their best ever. And if they don't think that, they shouldn't be farming anymore.
No, exactly.
Because you have to have faith, and you have to do things as best you can and believe always this is going to be the best you've ever grown.
But the actual conditions for getting tractors and drills and goodness knows what.
Fairly horrendous. Some of those early crops that were put in have been, as I said earlier, wiped out by slugs. They're gone. It's too late to redo clover. It's virtually too late to do ryegrass again. And the ability to actually travel on that country, even if you're trying to direct drill it, there's going to be some huge big rut marks in the paddocks. So often it's, well, go on holiday if you can and just go away from it. Walk away from the depression. Yes.
Absolutely, Dennis. Thank you very much indeed. We'll be talking nutrition straight after the break.
The home show sale is on. Hi, Mike from Four Seasons. We have the largest range of gas and wood burners on display. All wood burners and gas fires are heavily reduced. Save up to $1,300 on fire and flue packages. The home show sale at Four Seasons Home and Leisure, Tower Junction Mega Centre.
Yuck, look at all this moss and lichen. I'm not getting up there, not in these heels. Time to call Mossbuster.
Mossbuster is a no-bleach, non-abrasive, biodegradable solution that has over 35 years of proven results. You can buy Mossbuster online for less than half the cost of other well-known products and can be yours for less than $1 a litre. You just spray it on and let Mother Nature do the rest, or Mossbuster can do it for you. Check out our website or call the Mossbuster crew for a free quote. Mossbuster, 0800 88 1000.
Come in and meet the locals at the Bush Inn Centre. Whether it's to grab a coffee on the go or to catch up with a friend over lunch or dinner, the Bush Inn Centre is the perfect place. With our unique range of shops, you'll find everything you're looking for and more. Our friendly locals are always happy to help. We have plenty of parking at the Bush Inn Centre, making your shopping experience just a little bit easier. So come in, meet the locals and shop Bush Inn. You'll find us on the corner of Riccarton and Waimari Roads.
Ready to go, mate? Flight leaves at 4:30.
Relax, mate. We'll park at Airpark Canterbury.
Airpark Canterbury, privately owned and operated with a free 24/7 shuttle service. Call 0800 Airpark or book online at airparkcanterbury.co.nz.
Airtech wastewater treatment systems are the future here now. Easy to use and efficient, these sewage plants are already where the environmentalists are heading. You can relax as new rules come into place. A series of chambers does the work while you reap the benefits. Easy to landscape, they're ideal for new homes or as a replacement for an old septic tank. Airtech wastewater treatment system, your advantage when dealing with grey or black water. See the RX Plastics website for details or contact RX Environmental.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, the naturopath here at Staywell Pharmacy. Working with the pharmacist, I use herbal and nutritional medicine to recommend natural alternatives for your health. This can be to counteract any side effects of your medication, general health advice, or natural options for you and your family. I'm also available for consultations. So come in and see us at Staywell Pharmacy, 27 Shands Road, Hornby. Staywell Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Our new companion package is a personalised service for those that need extra help and support. A cost-effective solution for someone who needs more than just a taxi driver. Our drivers are hand-picked from our experienced team and specialise in providing the right support.
Welcome back to Rob's Country. How'd your workshops go, the microbial workshops?
It actually went very well. So there were a series of 6 workshops held over that period. With approximately 100 farmers attending the workshops, it was farmers and farm advisors. And a whole range of microbial aspects were covered during those workshops. Of course, the big thing will be how many farmers are going actually to take on microbial tools in their farming enterprise after going to the workshops.
But you'd be pretty happy. I mean, if somebody's turning up, they're interested enough to be there.
So it was almost a sort of a pre-selection for farmers who wanted to attend the workshop and who sees value in using microbial tools on their farms.
You'd be able to judge from the atmosphere if the pickup was good?
Well, I unfortunately wasn't attending the workshops, but from the people who were there, I had a good feeling about what they picked up from that and the farmers that attended the workshops, and it was a very good, valuable discussion that they had coming from that.
Brilliant. Let's recap micro or probiotic versus antibiotic.
Well, to recap on that side, of course, antibiotic means anti-life. So using an antibiotic is killing off the bacterial population. And a probiotic is, of course, pro-life. So it establishes a microbial population. And why I'm sort of always stressing antibiotic versus probiotic, a lot of farmers are using antibiotics, and that, of course, kills off the whole microbial population. And for an animal, you really need to have that microbial population in the rumen and the gut to retain a healthy gut flora. So, of course, that's where a probiotic then comes in to maintain or re-establish after the use of antibiotic.
Okay. You mentioned tools. What sort of tools are you using these microbiotics and things for as?
Well, they can be used in sort of all ranges in an agricultural environment. So in an agricultural environment, the rumen, of course, is a microbial population, and that's where microbial
There's a whole city in there, isn't there?
There's a whole city. There's 20 billion microbes in the rumen and in the gut. And if you don't keep them maintained and established, that's, of course, where all the pathogens get in and the animal will get diseased, or you get metabolic disorders or whatever. But in the same way that the rumen is a microbial population, the soil is also a microbial population. So I've heard some people talking about the soil as the rumen of the pasture, which in a sense is a good way of looking at it. So wherever we look into nature, it's a microbial population that we need to establish and maintain.
People drying off, what do they use there?
Well, in most cases, once they dry off, the importance of using a microbial tool at that specific stage is not that important. But where the microbial tool then really starts to kick in again is at the transition phase, sort of 3 weeks prior to calving down. Because what we want to try and do is to build up the immune system of the dam.
Yep.
And that immunity is, of course, then transferred to the calf. So we get a calf with a good high passive immunity, and the calf only establishes then her active immune system later in her life. So the calf is very prone to diseases and scours during her passive immune system and active immune system. So for the calf, that's where we want to use a probiotic or microbial tool, but we also need to, as I say, then establish a good microbial population immune system in the dam to transfer that immunity to the calf.
That's when it's still inside?
Yeah,
before
when
it's
it's still inside as well, that's part of it. That's where passive immunity starts. But then also in terms of the colostrum that calf gets. So if the colostrum quality hasn't been, doesn't have that immune status or immunoglobulins, we're not transferring that immunity to the calf. So again, establishing and giving the dam a microbial tool, building up her immunity, we also get a better quality colostrum. And that, of course, also then giving us a better quality calf.
So when should you kick in once the calf's got 4 feet on the ground?
Well, not really. You need to do that sort of 3 weeks in the transition period, or even before that. That is where the dam starts to develop and grow colostrum quality.
What I'm driving at is you then carry it on once the calf is born.
Absolutely, yeah. you carry on until when the calf is born. In a lot of cases, farmers will use a probiotic or a microbial tool strategically, or they use it throughout the whole lifetime of the animal. Because quite often when you're talking about a microbial tool, you use it when the animal is under stress. And if we think about stressed animals, when that dam calves down, that is a stress for the dam or for the cow. When the calf is born and the calf goes to different changes of feed, that's a stress on the calf. But in a large extent, every day that calf goes, or a lactating cow even, goes from one feed to another feed, that is a stress on the animal. So every stress on an animal requires actually a maintenance or a re-establishment of the microflora.
Pierre, thank you very much indeed. There's a damn good reason to be using it, isn't it, really? After the break, it's irrigation, even though it's raining.
Oil is no longer just oil. You need specialist oils for your special equipment, and the team at HDPS are your specialist team of advisors. Fleetguard filters, discount cards, brilliant promotions and expert advice, Cummins parts and a full range of every oil you'll ever require. What more do you need to keep your motors in the best possible condition? Well, if you're between Ashburton and Nelson, your only need is the team at HDPS. Ring or email them to ensure less wear and more hours from all your motors.
Kaikoura, located just 2 hours out of Christchurch. Kaikoura's amazing natural environment is what makes it one of New Zealand's must-see destinations. And the Kaikoura community has recognised the value of their environment as they enter their 10th year of environmental certification in order to protect it. Environmental certification is a commitment by all residents and businesses to act sustainably through having a zero waste commitment, biodiversity, water use and protecting the ocean resources through a coastline strategy. To find out more, visit kaikoura.co.nz.
Christchurch has its very own enchanted utopia, the Hitching Post. Pop in and see for yourself. A magical assortment of handmade creations, custom-made candles and artwork. Choose from our huge range of water features, garden art and imported giftware. Specialists in handcrafted metal artwork made in store. Nestled on 722 Marshlands Road. The Hitching Post, defining art our way.
One of the biggest challenges facing anybody is storage, or more to the point, a lack of it. That's where Russell and Rob come to the rescue. Their array of shelving and storage solutions is limitless. They can design and deliver exactly what you need, from shelves for the office, a workbench or storage for containers. These guys are one and only call you need to make. Shelfmart, shelving your concerns about storage.
Pestral has the latest technology that repels rats and mice and even helps control cockroaches. Covers walls, ceilings and open spaces. Combines electromagnetic, ultrasonic and ionic technologies. Harmless to pets and people, just plug it in. Order your Pestral rodent-free today. Now $149.90 plus courier. Order within 20 minutes and get it courier free. Call 0800 88 88 44 or go to pestral.co.nz.
Mainland Minerals have been giving farmers the edge since the 1950s. Sophisticated and very accurate soil tests and a vast knowledge of what the soil needs means those using Mainland Minerals get their costs extremely low while getting the very best results from their fertiliser. Fertiliser application is a science. Get it wrong and you pay. Get it right and it'll pay you dividends. Mainland Minerals, proven over 60 years and one of the best kept secrets in farming. Contact the award-winning guys and turn your property around.
Welcome back to Rob's Country. 21 days out of 24 in April will rain.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Rob. I mean, and as Dennis alluded to earlier on, I mean, we've had basically over 2/3 of our annual rainfall since about the 28th, I think it is, of February. Something like around this sort of area, we've had sort of the order of 400 millimetres out of 615, which is about the average. 615, 620 is about the average. So yeah, we've had an extremely large amount of water, and it's actually come in really big lumps of rain. And now every time we get a 20 or 25, 30 millimetre rainfall, then we've got water back on the surface again. And in fact, this morning I was just down at Bankside, and That's on Lismore stony silt loams, and there's water lying in the gully, in all the depressions. There's water lying in those depressions this morning. So even those soils are extremely wet, and of course at this time of the year when the topsoils are so dry and you have a discontinuity when the gravels start, then we start to develop, and there's no water being used of course by the plants, then we start to get some really wet topsoils. In fact, I was just thinking of a soil moisture plot that I was looking at this morning, and we've had a very large number of days where we've had soils that have been saturated somewhere between field capacity and saturation for the best part of May and the last part of April.
I mean, 3 fine days out of 24?
Yeah, it's just unreal. Yep.
You probably haven't seen a season like this.
Not in the time I've been in Canterbury. I haven't seen anything like this. I mean, if you believe, if you go back to the records, the Christchurch area, this is the wettest 2 months ever recorded, and I think records started in 1854 or something like that. So it is the wettest 2 months. Yeah.
Well, what's it doing to the soil? Because it must be does it go rancid?
Yeah, soils want to be aerobic. I mean, you need air in the soil, so we need them to drain. We need them to get to field capacity. We don't want them sitting between field capacity and saturation, because then you take away the oxygen that is needed in the soil. Roots need oxygen as much as the top part needs radiation coming to it. So we need to have the air in the soil. As soon as we go above field capacity, you're reducing the amount of air that's in the soil, so therefore reducing the amount of oxygen that's in the soil, so therefore the plants can't survive or can't grow as they used to. So we're starting to you then get yield depression because we're too wet rather than too dry. And the same sort of yield losses occur when we exceed field capacity than when we get below the stress point in the soils.
Spring is going to come and apparently it's going to be very dry, and you're suggesting that's happening. The soil, I would imagine, is going to have this big thick layer across it. Do you have to, I mean, you can't go out with a fork like you do on your lawn.
No, it's not quite like that. And the other issue that we do have, a lot of paddocks that have had late harvest done on them, and you don't have to drive very far away from here and you'll see them. There's some extremely deep wheel ruts in those paddocks. Some of the later bean paddocks that were harvested, there was barley harvested. There was quite a lot of crop actually harvested, or I don't know whether you call it harvested or whether you just say they got them off the paddock last week. The 3 or 4 days that we had last week when it was warm enough and dry enough, grain got fit, they got it off, or good enough to get through the header. They got it off, but they've left one heck of a mess in those paddocks. Lots of compaction in those paddocks. They're going to take a number of years to come right, particularly on those arable farms.
I suppose you plough them the other way or something to try to.
Yeah, it's going to require some long-term crops in there. Something like a fescue crop or a ryegrass crop that's going to be down for a while for those paddocks to be renovated. The compaction in there from the wheel tracking you'll see those wheel tracks for a long time to come.
Exactly, and the funny thing is that in a few months you're going to be saying we really desperately need to get some water on.
Yeah, no matter no matter how much rain we've had, once you get onto the lighter soils, we're never more than about 10 days away from a drought. So come spring, once we get past the equinox in September, and you might think that's a long way away, but
it's not.
It's not very far away at all. We're almost 2 months past the March equinox, so that means we're only just 4 months away from the next equinox. Yep, it all happens from the equinox onwards. It all happens because you've suddenly got more daylight, you've got more radiation coming in. Everything wants to grow. Soil temperatures are usually favourable at that time, and we'll hit the wall really quickly come the spring.
Tony, thank you very much indeed. After the break, we're going to be talking federated farmers and dairying.
BioBrew probiotics are a safe and affordable way to improve animal health and farm profitability. Our products are independently tested for quality by Lincoln University and proven to work through independent trials. We're proud to let our product speak for itself and prove that it works on your farm before you buy. Call us today for your farm-sized free sample.
Irrigation is the future for farming in New Zealand, but like any technology, you can't be expected to get the most out of it on your own. Hydro Services is the key to maximising your results. On-farm irrigation management, minimising drainage losses, minimising power usage and maximising efficiency. Soil moisture solutions, soil water holding capacity assessments, resource consent applications and on-farm workshops, all there in the one place. Hydro Services, your one-stop for irrigation management and soil moisture measurement solutions.
Yuck, look at all this moss and lichen. I'm not getting up there, not in these heels. Time to call Mossbuster.
Mossbuster is a no-bleach, non-abrasive, biodegradable solution that has over 35 years of proven results. You can buy Mossbuster online for less than half the cost of other well-known products and can be yours for less than $1 a litre. You just spray it on and let Mother Nature do the rest, or Mossbuster can do it for you. Check out our website or call the Mossbuster crew for a free quote. Mossbuster, 0800 88 1000.
Hi, I'm Steve and welcome to Carpet Kingdom. At Carpet Kingdom we stock a massive range of carpets and we're also the largest vinyl stockist in the South Island. And not only do we have an excellent range in store, but you can purchase our stock online. We offer free measure and quotes, we have our own installation team, we ship nationwide, so come on down and see us at Carpet Kingdom. 312 Wilsons Road in Waltham, just off Brougham Street, or visit us online at carpetkingdom.co.nz.
Avoid the monkeys when it comes to relocating. Trust A1 Movers, a family business since 1993 that guarantees a professional job every time. We carefully handle and wrap your valued items, ensuring they have a safe journey. Secure storage and insurance options are also available.
A1 Movers, the careful, caring moving company.
Oi! Potholes. To some, a simple hole in the ground, causing no harm and no concern. But don't let that fool you. Potholes are dangerous. Did you know potholes have been linked to numerous nasty falls and flat tires? So if you have a pothole situation on your property, don't panic. Call the Pothole Repair Company. They'll fix your potholes in a jiffy. So next time you see a pothole on your driveway or in your car park, call the Pothole Repair Company.
Welcome back to Rob's Country. How's the levy vote going? What's happening there?
Dairy NZ levy vote. Well, it's open right now, right through until the 31st of May. And it's a good chance for farmers to, or dairy farmers to, exercise their right to the future of what they expect with Dairy NZ. Dairy NZ, most other people may not be aware, but dairy farmers give 3.6 cents in each milk solid goes to Dairy NZ for the research they do, the education, the advice they give to a lot of farmers and to some of the politicians and so forth about what's going on in the industry. And yeah, they represent us very, very well. So
you'd hope so for 3.6%.
Not percent, cents.
Oh, cents.
Cents, yes. Yeah. They have actually asked to go up to, they've got the ability to go up to 5, but they will come back to us if they want to go past that 3.6 cents per milk solid. So yeah, it adds up.
So people need to do what between now and the 31st of May?
They've got a chance. They can either vote online, or they should have received a voting pack by now. And if they haven't received that, they should contact Dairy NZ. But yeah, no, it's a good chance to exercise your right to say yes or no. And
but it's your money.
Yes, it is, and they do. Personally, I believe they do a fantastic job on our behalf.
Right.
They really do.
Good. Gypsy Day.
Yes.
Looming very large for.
Yes, that day yet again rolls round. It does take a bit of forethought. It's only a couple of weeks away now. A little bit of sitting down right now, thinking things through about what will happen at the other end, who is ready for us, and how we're going to get there is going to be very timely if they haven't done so already. One of the things, if you're moving stock that are going by truck need to be off the paddock or off green feed for at least 4 hours. And especially when you're talking about a herd of cows, that creates quite a bit of effluent. Gives those 4 hours give the cows time to empty out and not overload the trucks. If you're walking stock, which quite often guys who might just be going off to grazing, maybe just be walking nearby, it does pay to go get consent from the council. A little permit here and there may seem like a little thing, but when you meet your neighbour coming the other way, if you've got your permit, at least you've got a little bit of higher ground. But the main thing, it may actually, the idea of it is...
I'm just picturing it. Yeah. A herd of 1,000 or a herd of 1,500 coming the other way.
It's happened.
Like you actually sort of ring your neighbours and say, listen, I'm going to be on the road between.
And that's where basically the council actually working as that go-between, because everyone's trying to go there on basically the same day. So stranger things have happened. And if the council are aware, they can also let you know of what they expect. So they tend to be good to work with.
What about things like traffic rules and warnings and somebody at the front and somebody at the back and flags or whatever?
Very much depending on where you are. If you're crossing the State Highway 1, it ain't going to happen pretty much. There's a few other places that you can, if you get the right consent, and that's where the council, go to the council and they will tell you what you have to do to abide by the rules. Each individual area is different. And so...
and how the hell do you find enough trucks? Because you've got furniture trucks as well as transport trucks.
Oh, totally different, yeah. The trucking firms are just pulling their hair out at the moment because they've got stock going everywhere. So not everybody can move on the same day when it comes to all the stock. So being a little bit flexible on your date is advantageous. And as for housing, and it's probably not your own stuff, but maybe your staff, having the properties cleaned and cleared in time to be able to be inspected is quite major. So make sure that you put the time and effort in, and maybe you even get the professional services in to help with finishing off those last little details. It's the little things that really... If I'm to move out on the first... And you haven't mow the lawns, we might feel a bit upset. So it's
and
those
you're going to
things.
be turning up with a truck with the engine running and saying, I want to unpack.
And you'll expect it to be clean. So you want to leave it as you expect to find it. So it's...
There's a lot of coordinating, isn't there?
Oh, a huge amount. So it's, thank God for most contracts only rolls around every 3 years, but it is a big thing, yeah.
But a lot of these share milkers do move on every year
yeah, a lot of contracts, most contracts are around quite often that 3-year mark, but some are yearly.
Future of LIC, very briefly.
Ministry of Primary Industries has actually asked for, they'd like people to submit on what the future of LIC should be. Currently, the shareholding of LIC is, it is on the local NZX. However, you have to be a dairy farmer to actually hold shares, and investment shares in livestock improvement. So that is up for discussion, and the corporatisation of how that corporate form. There is a second share that you have to have as a dairy farmer to actually utilise the products of LIC, and so the two are totally different things.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll come back to that on another occasion. Federated Farmers' phone number and others you'll want to jot down on your screen now. I'm Rob Cope-Williams. You've either been watching or you have just missed Rob's Country, but I will be back at the same time next week. Until then, bye now.